This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. So last session, we were discussing about the shell scripting, and even before to that, actually, we're trying to talk about the Git repositories, right? So in Git repositories, how are we going to work? So we are going to, how do we actually going to pull and push the code, right? So we just talked about that particular process, and we're going to continue the same thing in today's session. Okay, all right. So first thing first, I need a machine to run my shell scripts. So that's where I will go and launch an instance, and I will just use that. First, let's go and launch an instance. You know my MI. So practice. So select it. So T2 micro is fine. Instance details. If you want to go with the spot, you can go with the spot. And add storage, add tags, and I'll just go with the name. And it's actually going to be some test instance, like scripting instance, whatever it is. And so here I already have a security group. I'm going to choose that. To be launch. You can go with the proceed without a key pair. Okay, so now let's go to the instance. All right. So the next thing is going to be I need to, on the other day, I've been showing you how do you write your code from Windows machine. So because my workstation is a Mac box, I will just try to go and I will just quickly go and try to get the code from clone that particular repository to clone that particular repository to my local system so that I can use that. Okay, so let me quickly do that. So here, just 1 second. One minute. Yeah. So here is the repository. So I think I already, even you can get it from here also, right? So here it is dev.azure.com, and so here we have about 53. From this particular place we have wiki. Okay, so GitHub link is given, so you can just open that particular one and you'll find out the repository. So shell scripting is the one. You can just try to, okay, so clone this. Okay, so I just cloned it and I'm going to keep it in my local desktop. So over the command line. So yeah, and I have an editor here, so I'll be just using this particular editor and I can so start writing the code. Okay, so here I'm going to write the code, and here I'm going to, from here I'm going to push everything whatever I have shown. I'll be doing it from here. All right, cool. So let's give it a start. And so we're going to start with the shell scripting. In the shell scripting, like I want to talk about certain topics. So what are the topics I want to talk about? First, let me make a list and then we will try to solve or go topic by topic. Okay, so the first topic which we are going to, or topics which we are going to talk about here is, the first one is you're going to talk about a shebang and comments. Okay, so this is the first thing I'm going to talk about. Well, the second thing is we're going to talk about how do you print something on the screen. Okay, so then okay, so how do you print something on the screen? And the third one is actually going to be is the third one is actually going to be is how do you okay, how do you take the input from the, or before the input we're going to talk about the variables, and how do you talk about and then how do you talk about how do you take the input from the user. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about. Okay, so how do you print, how do you take the input from the user, in between we have variables. And after this, so we are going to have something called as so exit status. Okay, exit status, we are going to have redirectors, or let me put it in order. So we're going to talk about codes. We talk about first codes, and we talked about redirectors, and then and the next one is actually going to be is exit status. Okay, these are the things which we'll talk about, and followed with we're going to talk about conditions, and we'll talk about conditions, and followed with we're going to talk about loops. Okay, so and in between you'll get some SCD command also. Okay, so in between only we'll get it SCD command. So but at the end I'm giving, but we'll find out somewhere in between now. So okay, then SCD. So mostly this is what we're going to talk about in our shell scripting. And then for, I mean, definitely we'll be having the project, and our all the commands, whatever we have did so far, we'll automate that with shell script, and we'll write a shell script for that. Okay, and some best practices and things like that. We'll talk about that. Okay, and concept wise also, these are the fundamental topics which we have in fundamental, like these are the basics of what you have, or are the concepts you have in scripting. And from here you all apply, basically a lot of logic will come out of this. So that's where your skill come into picture. Okay, so that's the only thing. So otherwise any automation you take it, any tool or any automation you take it, it's all going to be a simple things only, but how much you write it is what make it complex. That's it. Okay, your requirement make it complex, otherwise the tools wise it is simple, and this is how it is going to be. All right, so let's talk about one by one, and we will see okay, how do you do that now. First one, so which is going to be is a shebang. Okay, and another thing is first, before do that, even talking about okay, which shell. Okay, so which shell, okay, so we have multiple shells. It's all started with asset shell, so which we called as bond shell. Okay, and after that there was K shell, con shell. Okay, and there was even C shell. Okay, so C language specific shell. Okay, so C shell. Like this, there are multiple shells. These were the days of the Unix. Okay, at the days of Unix, okay, so we were having okay, multiple shells. Okay, now out of that, so which shell actually we are using in Linux? Basically our shells are all started with Unix operating system, right? We know that. So it's all started with Unix, and Linux, when it came into picture, so he almost tried to make an operating system which looks like a Unix operating system, but it's still different. And the shell is also, the idea actually still taken from there, and that particular okay, shell idea has been taken. But these shells are actually having limited options. Like you take asset shell, it has some limited options, but it has some options. And when it comes to C shell also, it has some options. And when it comes to K shell, it has some options. But all the three shells having a different features. Okay, having a different feature. So that's where people thought, like, so why don't we go with a shell which can have all the features, something like this, all the features that all these three shells are having. And they came up with some other shell called as bash. Okay, so now what is the famous shell which we have there is, so which is a shell, okay, which is a bash shell. Okay, which shell if we talk about, so that's a bash shell. Okay, so let me here, coming back to the PPT. So there are different shells out there. So out of that, bash shell. So bash is nothing but okay. So later the bash came. Bash is nothing but sh and the k shell plus c shell. All the shells, all the features, whatever is there in individual shells, they embed it into a one shell. They're calling it as bash, which is bash is nothing but born again shell, or even okay. So born again shell people call it as, or even also it's called as born again shell also. So there are two names to that. Okay, so born is the author of the major shell, basically first shell. So that's where they just, it's a rewritten majorly on that shell only. So that's where it called as born again shell. But whatever it is, Linux come with bash shell as a default one. Bash shell as a default one. Okay, so that's where so bash is the scripting which we are going to talk about. Okay, you know, to install any third-party software if you go with that. Okay, so otherwise you have to install that particular shell and then use that. All right. But nowadays in desktops, okay, so in desktops, okay, like especially like, you know, Mac and all, people prefer to go with, you know, so jet shell. Even I am using jet shell, I'm not using bash shell, because jet shell comes up with certain features. Like let's say if I'm typing the commands, like let's say Terraform, you see this, I start typing the command, automatically it is auto-filling the command. Okay, so certain features are there in jet shell which makes life easier. If you are really interested in Linux also, it supports that. All you need to do is just install and configure that. But again, installation and configuration is additional thing. On the server side, we don't really need to do that. Okay, so that's where bash is the default one, and we'll always use the bash. Okay, so yeah, so since it is my desktop side, I'll be just using it for my preferences. Okay, so jet shell is you know, widely used. Okay, like in Mac OS. Mac OS people mostly use this particular jet shell. It embeds some, or it comes some flexibilities. Okay, that's the only thing. Apart from that, so Linux, apart from that, you know, the Mac machine also comes bash as a default one. All right, I don't know, whatever it is. Some shell it comes as a default one. Okay, so but on Linux enterprise world, we just run bash shell scripting majorly, and we go with the bash shell. Okay, so you know why, okay, which shell basically, right? So which shell scripting you're writing. So bash is default in Linux. Bash is having all the features of other basic shells, right? So that's all the two reasons. Okay, so bash becomes a default one. Okay, so starting with shebang. So what is this shebang? Okay, so what is the shebang? So shebang is nothing but a hash exclamator is called as shebang. You open any shell script in the operating system, you'll find out a shebang. Okay, let's try to do that. Okay, so you'll find out some script somewhere. So probably sudo su hyphen. So you don't know where are the shell scripts available. So find and hyphen iname. So ending with the start.sh, you give find iname. So find where find in slash. Okay, you'll find out a lot of shell scripts. So you open any shell script. So usually you'll find it out some kind of like let's say I'm taking this particular script. I'm opening this particular script. The very first line you're seeing, okay, is a shebang. It's telling that, you know, which shell you are using. Okay, so or let's say if I go with start.py, okay, let's say Python scripts, if there are any Python scripts. Okay, so if I just go with some Python script, okay, so this guy is not using any shebang because it's embedded things. Any other other than slash usr? I don't think so. We don't have any user written scripts here. So these guys will not have the shebangs. It's a pure Python loading scripts. But usually if it's a Python script also, if you're writing a Python script, so then you should be writing it through, or the shebang is mentioning that, you know, so I am a Python script. So it's actually going to tell that, okay? Like however the shell actually told us, sorry. So however the shell has told us, okay, so the same way you open any shell script, so usually you'll find out the very first line, so telling that, you know, so which shell it is. So here it is telling sh shell, it's not bash shell, but okay, so you need to understand in Linux bash and sh are same. Okay, even though you put it as a difference, so you give it as dot bash, sorry, slash or sh or bash, both are same. Okay, no difference at all. All right. So yeah, that's how it is going to be. Even if you want me to show that also, I can show as a proof even. So how can I show that is, like, let's say I can go for type sh, so the location of sh, type bash, the location of bash, right? So the location, actual physical location actually of these files is this locations, this command location. Now if I ask my database, RPM is a command, so which to deal with the RPMs, right? Yum command we are used, but there's also another command. So since I know this option, I'm just using it. Yum also you can do that, but here whatever it is, RPM hyphen query, this file, hey, I'm asking RPM, hey RPM, can you tell me who is providing this file? Which RPM has provided this file? It is telling that it is bash actually providing the file. You give bin bash also, it is telling that, you know, it is both are coming from the same package. It's actually coming from bash package. So now what is your understanding? sh and bash is different, of course, those are different, but in Linux when it comes to, so sh and bash are same. Okay, that was the Unix world, it was different. Okay, but in Linux world it is same. Okay, so sh and bash both are same in Linux. Okay, fundamentally talking. Okay, all right. So yeah, there's some understanding about the, so this particular one, bash and sh are same. So now your script should be, okay, you write a script, so all the scripts are actually ended with the .sh, right? .sh. So that doesn't mean it's a shell, it's a sh script, it's a bash again, right? Now it's your choice, whatever the one you want to make it. So the scripts, whatever you make it here. So 01, like let's say shebang.sh if I make it. So .sh. So .sh is your choice. When you start creating .sh, so probably it actually ask you to install some plugins. Let me show you that. So you need to install the plugin whenever the editor suggests you to install some certain plugins. So you install those particular plugins so that you will get the syntax highlighting and other things in a better way. So automatically your syntax will be highlighted and some auto-filling features will come. Okay, so which makes your life easy. It starts making your life easy. That's the only idea. Let my Windows environment come up. So, but here I'm going to make .sh, or you can make .sh, .bash. And I already told you in the Linux basics, the extensions doesn't really matter to you. Okay, so sorry, doesn't matter to the operating system. It's only matter to you to understand that's a shell script. Simple. .sh means for you to understand that's a shell script, you just use that. For an operating system, it's a file. Doesn't really matter if it is .sh, or you can give .py and you keep the Python code inside that. It doesn't really bother about that. Okay, so it's only for your understanding. Okay, and we make it. All right. Now, so the shebang is nothing but the hash exclamator is called as shebang. Okay, so I'm going to use /bin/bash. Okay, so the shebang is nothing but the hash exclamator is called as shebang. Okay, so what it does basically. Okay, so hash exclamatory is called as shebang. Okay, so what it does basically. So first thing, it denotes the interpreter, denotes the path of interpreter who is actually executed, right? Interpreter means the executor. All right, so the second one actually is going to be is ensure. It ensures the remaining code is executed, the remaining code is executed, remaining code is executed with that interpreter. Okay, so what all the code, whatever you have here, so will be executed with that particular interpreter. So I am going to give ls command. Okay, so I'm going to give ls command ls-l and ls-ldr. Okay, I'm just giving these three commands basically. That's a shell script, just printing three commands or executing the three commands. Okay, all right. So I think my Windows environment is came up. Yeah. Yeah. So when you try to go with creating some files with the .sh, so usually it will tell you to install the appropriate plugins, which is available for that particular one. So if I go with new, new file, like let's say sample.sh, if I give, automatically it will pop up, so here you see this, not pop up. On the top, you're getting, you would like to install shell check for it to verify your shell scripts. Shell check is needed. Okay, let's install that. Okay, and the shell check is being installed successfully. And even is that enough actually? Thinking. It will not go away. Let me open it. Okay, so here I'm just putting /bin/bash. No, the some syntaxes are not really coming. I think it's coming. Yeah, it's coming. No issues. That color highlighting is what I'm talking about. Okay, so this color hightings, and even if I try to make some condition, yeah, it's coming. If I make it, it automatically comes. I think that plugin is fine. Shell check, whatever you have, it is fine. Okay, so install that particular plugin. That's it. So it makes your syntax highlighting. Okay, and yeah, come back to the point. Shebang is actually going to do what? It just denotes the interpreter. It also ensures that you have all these particular commands, whatever you have, will be executed using that particular interpreter. Okay, so that's the purpose of Shebang. And the next one is the comments. Any line starting with a hash is a comment, so that interpreter will ignore that particular line. So that's where these hash lines actually coming in green color, those will get ignored basically by your interpreter while executing it. It will just ignore these lines. It will not execute. It executes only these particular lines. Now, what is our job? So I had to push this particular code. So I had to go to here. And it is actually telling, I had to use command line basically. So for me, these options will not work. Why? Because I'm not using a standard method of certain things. Okay, so shell scripting. So I'll just go with the command line. So git add, what is the script I'm going to make? So git add one and git space commit -yum. So what I'm doing, so adding a shell script, okay, for Shebang demo, something like that. Okay, so I'm giving a proper message. Now I'll give git push. So if I do git push, it's actually push the code. Okay, so these are the manual steps I had to do. Okay, because I'm not opening the shell scripting directly with my editor, I'm opening a big folder actually, so which is not a git repository. Inside that I'm having the folders, like something like in your documents, wherever you cloned, if you open the shell scripting, then it works properly, right? So if you open this particular, if you go to the my PC's Jeera users, so you have something idea projects. If I open this particular repository, which is a shell scripting, it works fine. But what I am opening is I'm opening the idea project folder itself directly, just to avoid opening multiple windows. If I'm opening multiple windows, it actually so the GoToMeeting, there will be some lag. you'll see some delay basically opening windows, which window I'm executing. It's a kind of a confusion. Rather than that, so here I'll just keep everything in one place and I do that. Okay, and I type and the type whenever I want to push it. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. All right, so cool. This is what I'm going to do. And now on the server side, I want to just access this particular repository. So here on the server side, so what I'm going to do is, so here I'm going to just clone this particular repository. This is a URL, HTTPS URL. Just clone this, and first of all, we logged into the server. Yes, we did. So I'll just go to the normal user only. Git space clone, and you have that. Yes, so cd shell scripting, you have this particular 01 sample.txt. Yeah, if I want to execute this particular shell script, so how do you execute it? If you know that is a shell script, you can just give sh and 01 this one. And sometimes you don't know what it is basically. So then what you can do is you can just go and use chmod plus x. Okay, you give an executable permission ugo users groups and others plus x. Okay, or u plus x is also fine. For you only you'll get it. So 01 shebang. So /01 denotes present working directory, right? Dot denotes present working directory. / is nothing but you are pointing a file name after dot. Okay, so in this location that file is there. So that kind of syntax you are adding there, and you hit enter. It works this way. Either you know the interpreter, to which interpreter you want to execute that, you give the interpreter and that particular file name, or you provide the script, some executable permission. Okay, and you just do this also. Anything is fine. Okay, so this is how you do the things. Okay, clear? Any questions before proceeding? Any questions? Yeah.
Raghu, can you tell me the exact meaning of shebang once?
Exact name of shebang.
Yeah. I can say what the purpose of shebang or what shebang does.
So the purpose I mentioned, right, denotes the interpreter. Okay, so it denotes the interpreter. So this is the interpreter path. So which script it is, you're going to tell that. And now if you give / that particular script name, so / that particular 01 shebang, this one, okay, it tries to execute with bash, or let's say Python if I give. Okay, so now it ensures that all the remaining code is executed through Python. Okay, I made some change. So git, okay, so git add 01 and git commit, and I'll go for git push. All the three commands I'm executing in a single line, just be giving a semicolon. Okay, it will execute it. Now on the server side, what we need to do to pull the changes, you have to give a git pull command, right? So we already talked about that. So now I'll give git pull. So now my shebang interpreter is okay. So it's actually going to have some executable permission. So chmod ugo minus, I think I fixed this in my image. Okay, ugo minus x to that particular one. So Git actually tracks the permissions also, even though if you have some permission changes, it considers that as change. It is telling that your local file is having some change. What are the file you are pulling, or what are the code you are pulling is going to have a problem. Now again, I'll go for chmod ugo plus x 01. Now even though you have this as a .sh, now you have some executable permission. So 01 and execute it, you're going to get an error. So what is error? ls is not defined. Okay, why? Because so your interpreter is Python. Now what it does, it denotes the path of interpreter. It ensures the remaining code is executed by the interpreter. So now ls is actually executed by Python. Python doesn't know what is ls, so it is throwing an error. So these are the two things what it does by interpreter. Yeah. Anyone? Any other questions?
Raghu, is this the Git desktop which you are using? I missed this one actually. How you opened this one?
Yeah, you have to go and watch the previous sessions, last session at least. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so no questions. So probably, so the next thing is going to be is the next topic, right? So yeah, and again, every time actually, I type the things, so every day I do the same job, right? I write the code and I push the changes, so easily I'll waste 5-6 hours of time in the whole sessions. I have to type it, what I'm doing, so, and again push it and things like that. Okay, so actually, what I prefer to do that is, so some unstandard method. Okay, that is from my side only. You should not do that. For you, you should open the proper git commit message, you add the files, add the commit message, push it and pull it. Okay, so since I'm actually going to do the same thing again and again, okay, so, and I don't want to waste your time basically. Okay, so just keeping the time in mind, I'm going to follow some unstandard method, okay, which you will never see what I'm doing in the behind, but don't worry about that particular part. Okay, so what I'm doing is completely wrong, and you should not do that in the organizations. In the organization, while I'm making the work, I'll always type the command only. I'll not do actually some auto pushing. Okay, but since here since here we are actually going with some time constraints, okay, keeping time in mind, I would like to just go with doing the things in an automated manner. Okay, so that's where I will I will always go and push behind the scenes. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So let me just set my configuration, and you will not see that configuration also. Okay, I just pass the screen, which you don't really need to do that. Okay, so I even don't know. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I will always try to push the things, so it will just go and push it automatically. All right, so I would like to detach this. So you will never see the things, but yeah, I'll be pushing the changes, some with some background scripts. Okay, but you don't worry about that at all. All right, so now let's say okay, done with shebang. Okay, so you just do that, and you come here, and now some changes are there, so you can just go and give git pull. But this git is actually throwing us an error basically. So what is actually it's throwing an error? So at 01, I think that line didn't came. That last comment line didn't came. It's actually tracking the permissions also. Git is actually tracking the permissions. Now you can tell to the Git, hey Git, you don't worry about my permissions. Okay, you worry about my content, but don't worry about my permissions of the file. Okay, you can tell that. Okay, so how can you tell that is I can just go with git ignore file permission. So there is simple option. You just need to run that command so that it will not bother about that particular permissions. Okay, so you just say this. Okay, git config. Okay, git config file mode false. Okay, so this will not bother about the permissions anymore, and you do the git pull. It pulls the code without any issues. Okay, So you just do that whenever you have some permission issues coming up. Okay. So let me put this in the documentation so that you can have it as a reference. Or even you can set it as the -- global also. So that means every repository it affects. It currently affected your local one repository. If I set a -- global, it sets your whole system. Okay, so that's where even your next repos and all you'll not get the issue. That's okay. Anything is fine. So this is okay now. And cat 01. So now you have that comment also here. Okay, cool. So shall we move on to any next topic? Any other questions in the meantime before to that? All right.
You mentioned hash is a comment, right? So it's in the server side displaying the comment as well. But previously it was not displaying the first 3 lines.
It will.
Yeah. So,
it will.
Sorry.
Only while executing, it's a content basically. It's a file and it's a content. While executing that file, it will just ignore the lines which is starting with hash. That's it.
Got it.
Okay, so the next topic is going to be how do you print something on the screen? Okay, so printing is the next thing which we are going to talk about. So when it comes to the printing, okay, so the first line is always shebang. So /bin /bash. Okay, so here it is. And so when it comes to the printing, okay, so you have 2 commands. Okay, so we can print a message on screen. Okay, using 2 commands in Linux, 2 commands in Linux. Okay, first one is echo command, and the second one is print command, printf or printf command. Yeah, there are 2 commands which is available, echo and printf. Okay, so when it comes to the scripting, you do some scripting. Ultimately, you should print some message. You should print some message. Like let's say I take some example. If I go there, I was using some, like let's say some other third-party utility. Like let's say you see this. I am executing some Terraform code. Okay, so like let's say I'm executing some Terraform code. Terraform is displaying that what it is doing. It's actually doing destroying something. It's actually creating something. Or it is displaying some message, right? So if I write some script also, I am doing something. Okay, I want to print my message. Basically, I want to print some messages. But how do I print some messages? How do I print some messages on the screen? Okay, so that the user will have some understanding that what I'm actually doing. So your script, you may not actually execute all the time, right? You wrote the script, so the team might be using it. Okay, so when it comes to that way, so what you are actually doing, you need to print some message for an understanding. Okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, things like that. Some information you need to print it. Okay, whatever you're doing, or sometimes the outputs, or whatever it is. Okay, you should be printing something. Okay, so how do you print? So that's where the printing comes into picture. So the echo and so printf command. So this is our choice basically. This is so preferred one. Okay, preferred one because of less syntaxes. Okay, and this is it have more syntax. So you always bother about some syntax problems. You break the syntax, things will be complex here. Printf command. Yet both does the same job. Okay, so why do you make our life complex here? Okay, even though both does the same job, so why do you make life complex? But printf definitely have some additional printf have some additional options. But yeah, so I don't think so at a level of even for a professional, I don't think so we do really need printf command. You can still do that without printf command. Okay, so most of the things you can do, 95% you can do the things. Okay, that 5% is a very rare scenario. At least I cannot even talk about that much rare scenarios it is. You don't really bother about that. Okay, so don't worry about that particular part. and echo command is is the best option here. Okay, so that's where we'll go with the echo command.
Raghu, this is Murli. A question.
Yeah.
Do you need to
Yeah.
have the dependencies? Like, how do the shell scripting recognize this echo or printf?
Yeah, so it's a shell, it's a command. So what is the shell script? Okay, I might have missed this particular point. What is a shell script basically? You keep your group of commands in a file and it's called as a shell script. That's it, right? So that means, okay, these commands are actually supposed to be on the shell side. Okay, on the operating system, if you have a command, you're keeping those commands. Echo is a command, printf is a command, everything is a command only. You're just putting in a file and running it. That's it, nothing more than that, with some logic. And that's where you're calling it as script. Yeah, end of the day, it's all your commands only. So the dependency means, let's say you're having some command not found, so that means you should install that particular appropriate package, then only your shell script will work. Yeah.
Okay.
Now if I want to print some message, so I'll just give echo hello world. I printed the message. Okay, so I'm just push the code, come here, let's pull. And so since you know that shell script, you can also give without permissions also sh 0 to print of sh, anything is fine. So you're getting hello world. Okay, so whatever the message, whatever you have given, you're going to get the hello world. All right, echo is going to print whatever the input you have given. So echo, the input is given as hello world, it is printing that. Okay, now echo, if you have given some other things, echo, okay, so good morning, I'll say. All right, so and it just prints good morning. Okay, so I can go for pull at the starting, with pull at the starting, and second command is sh. So you're delimiting them with semicolon. You can do that. So two commands, you can place it in one command line, and you can execute with semicolon as a delimiter. It just executes one by one, and it is executing the hello world and good morning. Okay, so this is what you have. All right, and you give the message and you just printing it. All right, nothing more than that. But sometimes you want to grab the attention basically. If it's an error, you want to print it in red color. If it's a message, printing, I want to print it in so some whatever it is, some plain color, whatever it is, I want to grab the colors. Colors is gonna grab the attention basically. Okay, I want to go with color printing, and also sometimes you need to go with multi-line printing also. So that means, so echo. Okay, so so let's say if I want to make it like let's say hello. Okay, so I want to drop an email, so that is a message now, echo hello comma, and after that I want to say that, so like let's say welcome to today's session. Okay, today's session comma, like let's say regards. Okay, comma, like let's say you say that this one. Okay, so this is the message, but technically that letter should look like this, right? So hello. Okay, so welcome to today's session. Okay, and I'll say regards. Okay, this is the message it should look like. Okay, but actually I'm giving it in a single command. Okay, so then how it's gonna happen? Okay, so that means I require some multi-line printing here. Okay, so then how do I do that here? So echo. So if you want to print some new line, actually I want to print a /n. So after hello, you're going to go with a new line, and even one more line, one more empty line. I want it here, right? I want an empty line. So /n, and here also /n, and here is also so /n, just /n here. Okay, one new line only here. So regards after that immediate line, but welcome to today's session, I want having one more empty line, so that's where /n. Okay, if you do this, okay, let's see how it is going to work. So you pulled it, is it working? No, you're getting n, that's it. That's not really working. Okay, why it's not working is, so you didn't give the complete syntax. So when you go with want to print some, so these things, so then what you have to give is you have to give a -e option, and followed with you have to give some double quotes. Okay, so then only the things will work. Now with a single command, so you're still trying to achieve what you're actually trying to achieve, right? So you're actually getting so this one, the spacing is there because you have given some spacings. So you remove these spacings, but that also will not be a problem. Remove the spacing. Okay, you see that? So hello, welcome to today's training. So you just try to visualize what you want, and based on that, you just use that particular options. Okay. All right. So just give me 1 minute. I'll be back in 1 minute. Yeah. All right. Sorry. So yeah. So here we are actually going to so print multi-lines just by using -n. So sometimes you want to print some tab space, like let's say welcome to this one should be printing with some spacing. Okay, you can use /t also. Okay, so /t is actually going to print a tab space. All right, so if you just want to have that way, so might be certain rare options, but still you can just use that. So you get some tab space here. Okay, so that's how you have it. And okay, so /n is a quite useful option, /t sometimes. But the another thing major is, so okay, so here the /n and the /t or whatever it is, these are called as escape sequences. Okay, and the escape sequences which are using is /n, which is for a new line. And /t is for a new tab space, and so /e is there for a new color. Okay, so yeah. Now I want to print some coloring. Okay, I want to print a message so that I can grab some information. I grab some attention from the user. Printing an error message, I want to print it in a red color, I'm printing a good message, probably a green color. Okay, so something like that. Okay, I'm printing a warning, or I want to highlight the content, so some yellow content. Okay, so it's all depends upon what we want. Okay, so how does it look like? So that also is your choice, and you can choose the colors, but you'll not have a like a RGB colors of 56 colors, like however you find it in Windows. You will not find those many colors here. You'll have a simple colors. Okay, so, and the color is also two types. If you take a look here, the color is two types. My black background is there, right? So that's a background color, and the text color is what is the foreground color. So there are two types of colors which you have available again. Okay, so what are the colors you have? So you have red, you have red, green, yellow. Okay, red, green, yellow, blue, magenta, and cyan. So these are the 6 colors which you have, and apart from that you have black and white, right? So total 8 colors might be. Okay, but black and white is quite common thing. Okay, so we can ignore them. So that means either it can be a black background, white foreground text, or white background and black foreground text. Okay, anything is okay. So now here you're going to have some foreground colors. So that means foreground means nothing but the text color. So here you're going to have 31. So you're going to use 32 number, and here you're going to use 33 number, and here you're going to use some 34 number, and here it is 35 number. Actually, you're going to use 36 number. Okay, so these are number codes. Now, what is the syntax basically? So syntax for color print basically is, so echo -e, double quotes is still same. So open the escape sequences. Okay, and open the square bracket and color code, and then yum, and then message. Okay, this is what you are going to do. Echo -e, so /e, open the square bracket, and this color is nothing but this color code. You'll replace that, and yum, done with the syntax, and message. Okay, so let's try to take an example here. Okay, so echo -e. Okay, so /e, open the square bracket, 31 yum. Like let's say hello. You're just getting echo hello in red color, right? So that is what the example. So then, like let's say echo -e. So /e, open the square bracket, 31 yum, red text, or text in red, whatever it is, your choice. Okay, so the same way, now if I want to print 32, it's a green. Okay, so 33, it's an yellow. And 33, 34, yum, blue, and 35, yum, magenta. Okay, so people just try to run this. Red text, green text, yellow text, blue text, magenta, cyan. Okay, all the colors it actually trying to we try to print it, right? So that's what it is. Okay, so yeah, also sometimes you can go for a background color also. Okay, but it's a pretty rare, but your choice. If you want to go with the background color also, so then you can go for background. The background is also like some color code, 41 and 42 and 43 and then 44 and then 45 and then 46. Okay, so I want to go with the echo -e. So /e, open the square bracket, and yellow /e, right? Yellow on top of red. Okay, yellow on top of red background color, 41. Yellow is actually 33 young. Yellow on red. You might not be able to see that because the screen sharing might little change the color quality. So, but still I might be getting it. So now you see this yellow on red. I can see that, but you might not be able to see that. Okay. Got it right. Yellow on red. Yeah. But one thing, if you observe here, so there is some, so color actually getting followed here is actually printing even on the next line. So the color, whatever you enable, it will not get disabled by default. The color you enable will not disable by default. So that's where, so color we enable. It's a quite important thing. So color we enable will not be disabled by default. Okay. So means the color will move to next lines as well. It will move to next lines as well. Okay. So how do you avoid this? Okay. So that particular one will be done through disabling the color. So how do you do that? So echo -e. So we just need to go with the same thing, but at the end, open the square bracket with 0m. So 0m is actually going to disable the colors. Okay. So you enable the color, printed your message, and after that you disable the color. So this is the right approach basically. Okay. Now you see this red on yellow on red, that line is completely printing, but the next line is okay. Previously the CentOS also has been so I've got that particular color, but now CentOS is fine, right? So that's how you're going to get it. Okay. So yeah, and some styling codes, some style codes will be there. Some style codes like so like underline. So underline characters, there's bold characters. Okay, underline characters you should be using I think 4. Bold characters you should be using you should be using 1. Some blinking characters also will be there. That's fine, we don't really use it sometimes, I mean most of the time, so I don't want to talk about that. So underline character is 4 and bold character is 1. Okay, so that means echo -e, so /e, open the square bracket, and 33m. So yellow normal, and /e /e, open the square bracket, and 33m. Okay, 33m, but I want to go with the bold, right? 1 semicolon and bold, and it's actually going to be bold yellow. Okay, and /e, open the square bracket, and 0m. Okay, so now let's see what's going to happen. So if it's a bold, how does it looks like some difference? I didn't push the code. So now you see this yellow normal and yellow bold, you have some difference. If you clearly see that. Okay. I don't know what is the zoom, but yeah, I'm not sure. So, but this is actually it's coming in bold. Okay, so if you see this is actually in bold. All right, and this is in normal way. There's a difference, at least. I'm not sure whether over the screen you will able to determine that or not, but there is a difference. Okay, so that's the bold one. Okay, so sometimes you want to go with underlined characters. So echo -e, so 1 /e, open the square bracket, and go for 4m, like let's say hello world, and /u, open the square bracket, and 0m. Okay, so this is actually going to be printing it in underlined characters. So sometimes you want to highlight with underlining, so that particular one comes into this. Okay, now you see that hello world is actually coming into underlined characters. Okay, so whenever you want to print something, so these are the options which you have: colors, printing new lines, some tab spaces, okay, some underline, some speciality, and whatever the message you want to print it. You think about what you want, you visualize what you want, and you have the options around there. Right? Clear? Any questions?
Raghu, it's Murli. Is it possible to show a print statement by printf?
Yeah, you can do that with printf also. No, what,
Yeah,
I think
what will be the syntax here? Just can you show us?
one second. Yeah, printf hello. So you're getting hello on the screen.
Yeah, it's just like an echo only, right? Just echo one line. But or you mentioned like there's a difference.
Yeah. Start using it, then you'll see the pane.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah. Any questions?
So every time you are writing in IntelliJ editor, you are saving or it is automatically saving?
So I think you have some autosave option, if I'm not wrong. Or even I'm pressing
Yeah,
Control F.
you are writing here and you are pulling. Yeah, you are pulling in the server end. So I guess it is auto saving. It seems. I have never seen you have saved something.
No. So actually, what is happening is I'm doing an auto push to the Git repository, like I mentioned. So in the background, I'll be pushing automatically, and so that's how I can pull it from there. So, but you should be pushing it with the standard options, whatever I mentioned, right? So you have to write a proper message, you push it. That you have to follow that, because in the organizations we should be doing that only.
So every time we go into the server, so we have to push and we have to pull that, right? Pull and pull. Okay.
No, push and pull.
Yeah, push and pull. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pushing the code from the IntelliJ and pulling to the file or something.
Raghu, one more question here.
Yes, Videsh.
Raghu, the font size and the color codes, whatever you are writing, that is like predefined, right? Where we can refer those things, like what are the colors and all.
So yeah, the colors is, you can just go for color code bash. You'll get everything. Okay. So you go with any documentation. Okay. So you will get it.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are predefined. Of course, those are predefined to say. Yeah. Anyone? Any other questions? And what is the next topic, by the way? So the next one is variables then. Okay. So let's go with variables. .sh and would like to go with /bin/bash. All right. Now what is a variable? Okay, so variable is everywhere. I'm just calling this as batch 53. That's a variable. The batch 53 is actually comprises of a lot many people inside that, right? So yeah, it's a variable, right? So Raghu is a variable, but actually comprises of so many parts of the body, right? So a classroom, okay, so kind of thing. So variable is everywhere, right? So you use variables, you use instead of so like let's say your mobile phone number contact is a variable name you're keeping, that's a contact name, but actually the value inside that is something different. Okay, so that's how, so the variables are everywhere. Now here in the scripting also we have variables and we need variables. Why do we need variables? Okay, so first of all, like let's say I want to say that so I am writing some statements, like let's say that so welcome to DevOps training. Okay, I'm saying some statements here. So and then so DevOps training timings is like let's say so some 6 a.m. something I'm keeping, and echo so DevOps trainer, okay, is like let's say Raghu. Now here everywhere in the statement, so there is a word actually which is reverse, which is actually repeating, so which is nothing but called as DevOps. Now tomorrow if I want to change this DevOps to some other word, okay, every line I have to go and modify it, isn't it? Okay, so that's the pain we'll be seeing it. Okay, so just to avoid that, so what we're actually going to do here is so we're going to take the variables. Okay, we're going to take the help of variables. So let's say so course underscore name is equal to so course underscore name is equal to, so like let's say DevOps. Okay, and the same statements I'm going to put it here, but I'm actually going to put like so dollar course underscore name. So I'm going to take this here, put it here. Okay, so now tomorrow if I want to change this course also, I change it in one place, all the 3 places it will automatically modify it, right? So now let's see. So for the first set, anyhow, you're hard coding the content. So the second set, you're actually putting the variables, and that particular course name is actually replacing with DevOps. Okay, so you declare that particular variable, course underscore name is equal to DevOps, and you're accessing that particular variable by using this one. Okay, so now just to write some notes, okay, around this. So certain things, basically, so how do you declare a variable? Variable is nothing but variable okay, variable name is equal to data. Okay, variable name is equal to data, and to access variable, so to access variable, so we're going to use to access a variable, we're going to use dollar variable name. That's it. And also coming to the more some information. So what characters you can use, you can use in variable names. Okay, variable names, what all the characters you can use? A to Z you can use, and capital A to Z you can use, capital A to Z you can use, 0 to 9 you can use, and underscore you can use. This is underscore, basically underscore. Only these characters are allowed. You're not supposed to use any other characters. What do you have other characters? You have some question mark, you have some space, okay, you have some braces. You should not use those characters inside the variable names. Okay, variable names, you should not use that. Okay, and also there are some more things also comes into picture. Okay, or another thing, sorry, here there's variable name should not start with, variable name should not start with a number. Okay, so number, so that means it's actually going to be is one variable is wrong, variable 1 is right. Okay, so this is the case scenarios basically. So apart from that, you don't have anything. So you're supposed to use only these characters, and you should not start with a number. Only these two, things you keep in mind. That's fine. Okay. So when it comes to the style, basically, okay, when it comes to the style, okay, so people follows different styling, okay, of the variable names. Okay, like let's say, so styling in variable names, okay. Is in different people follow different things. Okay, so some of them are Unix. Okay, Unix is actually going to be some Unix or Linux. So we are actually from Unix, or like let's say I am from Unix and Linux background. Okay, assume. So then I mostly prefer to declare the variable names as variable name. Okay, so that means all in capital characters, all in capital characters. So that's my preference. Okay, all in capital characters I am going to use this. Okay, so that means so like let's say even because system always uses of all the capital variables only. You see this XGD session, host name, term, shell, his size, all these are variables. Okay, system always uses capital characters, and I am actually from that particular background. I came from actually that area, so probably I prefer to go this way. Okay, so that's some people preference. Like let's say some people come from some, like let's say Java background, as an example I'm telling. So they use the same variable name, so they use this variable and name. So this is nothing but camel case. Okay, so this is nothing but camel case, right? So you can go for camel case. Okay, so this is the camel case, they call it as. This is the camel and the case. Okay, and even this also is also camel case. Okay, first character of every word is actually some capital, and the remaining or normal characters is also a camel case. Okay, so that's so that's the camel case. Some people come from, like let's say, a core development background, so they come up with this, and the choice is yours. The choice is yours. Okay, who writes the script? The author is the one. So like let's say if it's a programming language, the people on the project level, they'll have some standards. People on the project level will have some standards, and everyone follow that standards. But since it is our scripting, so yeah, I think it's a liberty I can make it. So I'm the author, I can just so choose whatever the way I want. Okay, so this is about this is how you declare the variable. Variable is equal to data and variable is equal to name. Okay, so yeah, so clear on this? Any questions? Okay, so a couple of things again here. Okay, so you're hot coding the data. So course name equal to DevOps, you're hot coding. Okay, some scenario I'll try to take it. Like let's say I'm giving so date, or like let's say and I want to print a message. Okay, so and I want to print something like so good morning, and today date is what is that? So 2020 and hyphen 12th of 07. Okay, so this is what you have. Good morning, today date is 2020 12/07. Okay, and today date is this one. So now today, if I run this particular statement, it actually is true, right? So if I actually try to if I try to run this particular today date statement, so it's actually today is fine, but tomorrow if I execute the same script, tomorrow if I execute the same script, what is going to happen? Tomorrow also it prints the same date. Day after tomorrow also it prints. Next month if I come and execute the same script also, I will get this same message printed. Okay, so that is the problem. That is the problem. So that is where we wanted to have some data grabbing into the variables dynamically. Okay, so now what I can do is I can just take this as a so probably $, date I'm making. So here I can go for date is equal to this one. Okay, so for now it is fine, but again, as I mentioned, so tomorrow it will not work out. So now I want to get this particular variable dynamically. So how do I get that? Is so date is equal to so $, and I mean in the braces, or you can, the scenario now thing is, let me put some theory first. So now to get the data into variable, or not to get data, basically to declare variable dynamically, to declare variable content dynamically, then we should be using a command substitution, or using, let me put here. So one is a command substitution, okay, and the second one is actually going to be arithmetic substitution. Okay, arithmetic substitution. Okay, so arithmetic substitution. So that means some arithmetic expressions, and or else you can execute some commands. So the syntax is actually going to be dollar and the flower brace, and the variable is equal to dollar is equal to not flower braces, normal braces, and it's actually going to be a command. Okay, and here it's actually going to be a variable is equal to dollar and double braces, and it's actually going to be an expression. Okay, so these are the two things which are having. So command and variable is equal to command and variable is equal to expression. Okay, so yeah, so that means you can execute the command and the command output goes into the variable. Now date is a command, date is a variable, sorry, and inside that you're going to put some date command and plus %f. This is the syntax to get the format what I'm looking for. So if I just execute on the script side, command side, so this is the syntax you're getting. Okay, so I get this. Now I will just put this particular one here. Now if I run the same script tomorrow, yesterday, like let's say yesterday I ran it with 06. Okay, so assume this script is being created yesterday. Now it always prints the yesterday's date here. I mean the same date all the time, and whereas here it always prints the accurate date. So that means exact date. Okay, so how does it is happening? So it is happening through the command substitution. Okay, and you're executing the command and the command output is going into a variable. Okay, most of the time we'll go into this scenario. Most of the times we'll get into this scenario. All right, so that's how it's going to be useful. Okay, so executing a command and that particular command output, you are going to store it into a variable and use that particular variable all the time. Okay, and whereas arithmetic, arithmetic expression is so add is equal to dollar 2 plus 3. Let's say the 2 plus 3 expression is will be solved, and so echo add is equal to dollar add. Okay, so it just prints that particular added value. 2 plus 3 is 5, and I am expecting you're going to get 2 plus 3, so which is 5 here. Okay, add equal to 5. So that's where you put a very lengthy arithmetic expression also. It just solves that and you get it. Yeah, so that's again depends on the scenario you'll be using it. That's about variables. Clear? Any questions? Yeah, no questions.
Raghu, regarding this, like you're printing the integers, how about the floats and other?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. Yeah. Yeah. So the next thing, like question came out, so which is basically data types. Okay, so how do you deal with the data type? Okay, now let's say A is equal to 10, B is equal to XYZ, and C is equal to a Boolean. Okay, and D is equal to some 9.99, a float value. Okay, so these are the different so data types basically. So it's you call it as a integer or a number, and you call it as you call this as a string, and you call this as okay, a boolean. Okay, it's a boolean, right? True or false, and it's also going to be a float value. Okay, so yeah, so how shell is actually going to, or how shell, yeah, bash shell is going to deal with this. So echo, so -e, so a is equal to $a, b is equal to $b, and c is equal to $c, d is equal to $d. Okay, so this is what you're going to have, and probably, yeah, you can just do that. Even this is not needed. Even quotes is also not needed. Okay, so now if I just go and run this, now you will understand. So there are different types of data we have given: x equal to 10, b equal to xyz, true, and 9.99, right? So now while declaring, are you defining any option that this is that? No. Okay, no. Okay, so that means what your understanding has to be, what is your observation has to be is, in shell by default there are no data types. There are no data types. Okay, you should know that what the data you are using. You should deal with the data of its type. Okay, you should know that whether the data which is going to come as a number or as a string, and based on that you should act on. Okay, so that is how actually in shell it works. Okay, so this is a very good option for a beginner. For a beginner, it looks like a, no need to really bother about any kind of data, and you can just give it and use that. But yeah, but actually going forward, and while you're dealing with many scripting, okay, so this will be seen as a problem actually. So becoming into a professional, okay, like writing a lot of scripts, okay, so you are taking care of its data type is a bit pain. So if actually the shell is taking care of that responsibility, you'll be relieved from some burden. Okay, so that's where for a professional it's a burden, but for a beginner it is a really useful option. Okay, so but whatever it is, you have it in that way. So yeah, this is the data type you have, and there are no data types in shell for a beginner. Yeah, and you don't really need them as well, in fact. Yeah. So I think that's all from my side for today, and so we are going to have the remaining topics talked in tomorrow's session. And yeah, any questions?
So in Raghu, there is no data types in shell, and that means you can add any like float and integer together.
No, that's what I mentioned, right? You should be dealing with the data of its type. While you're adding, you should know both numbers has to be float only. You should know that. Yeah, so that's the button I'm telling. Yeah.
So we can't convert, or we can't do it if you wanted to add it.
No. Yeah. Any questions? Yeah. So the variable can have a mix of integer plus string. Of course, string means itself is a combination of so characters and numbers, right? So yeah. So shall always consider that as a string.
What about in the same example, putting those other characters like dollar percentage, those won't be taken.
You want to use some other characters in the input?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put them. You can.
Like percentage 1 to 3.
Yeah, that's a data, right? So string you can keep. Yeah. Anyone? Any other questions? Anyone? Any questions? All good? Okay, all right. No questions. Probably we can meet in tomorrow's session and we'll continue the remaining topics of Shell. Mostly, so tomorrow we'll think through some project structure. How do we want to make our, how do I want to make our code structure basically related to the project, and based on that we'll we'll create and we'll move. Okay. Thank you, and see you in tomorrow's session then. Bye. Good day.